how my agency got out of 5 years of crippling debt with 4 simple rules. Hey, my name is Lee Matthew Jackson. I'm the host of Trailblazer FM and a proud Cloudways Maverick, and I'm going to share with you 4 ways to get out of debt as an agency and be profitable. Back in the day, I was having to draw lots of money down from my agency to support the lifestyle I'd built. That included a mortgage, a car, holidays, but also all sorts of personal debts like credit cards and so on. This led personally to a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and a breakdown in relationships. This need to draw down money from the business also affected the business and my business partners. Here in the UK, they had to draw the same amount as me down. Therefore, this was putting immense pressure on the business finances. The business itself was often cash poor, and frankly, the lack of financial accountability at a personal level for me, but also my other directors, was reflected in how we managed the agency itself. With all of these pressures, we ended up being trapped in the factoring cycle. This is invoice factoring, financing an invoice essentially before the clients even paid for it. And with all of those pressures, we started to accept lower grade clients essentially in desperation, which continued to feed this poor cash flow cycle and an erosion of any profits and a deepening of our debt. Thankfully, today we all have good financial management. We pay out fair wages to the team and to the directors, and also draw out relevant dividends when they're available. As a business, we are completely out of debt, and we have cash in the bank to invest in our company. So let's look at how we did it. Number 1. We started with our personal finances. I've already shared how I was having to draw a lot down because of all of the expenses I had. This was then putting pressure on the other directors, but equally, they weren't necessarily making great decisions either. So what we all did was looked at our personal finances. What were we wasting money on? What debts could be put together to reduce monthly payments? By reducing the amount of money we needed to survive on at a personal level meant we could reduce the amount of money we were taking from the agency. We started there first because the way you manage things at a personal level, the way you manage things at home, usually reflect then how you go on to manage other things like your company finances. So we figured it was brutally important to start at home. Second, we looked at our business finances. This means looking at every single expense that we had. If the results or the output of that expense was not measurable and was not adding value, then we had to get rid of it. Essentially, we had to be brutal with everything we were spending money on. That did include the fact we had 2 offices. What on earth did we need 2 offices for? And if we only selected one of them, they were still ridiculously expensive. So what were the things that we could do as a business pretty brutally to massively reduce the costs? Of course, we'd already started at the personal level by reducing that financial burden there, but next was to go through the business and all of those really bad decisions that we had made and carve them out so that we had a business that was as lean as possible. Third, we reached out to our creditors. We had an open and honest conversation about where we were, but also what plans we had to improve the situation, which included the fact we'd cut so many costs, but also we had a future plan to grow the business. We then negotiated with our creditors reduced terms. We were still going to pay them back, but perhaps we could pay them less on a monthly basis for a longer period of time. It's amazing how generous and understanding creditors are when you have that open and honest conversation. If you were to just ignore them and not pay them, that's when things get really horrible. So this was one of the best things we could have possibly done. Our creditors were wonderful. I'm so appreciative. They gave us the space that we needed to pay them back, but also to grow our business again. And finally, number 4, we set up an accountability relationship. That was between ourselves as the directors and a mentor. That simply meant having regular meetings, looking at what we'd spent and why, and what were the measurable results. We'd then continue to be essentially brutal in our finances, ensuring that we weren't wasting money on things. This also meant that if I had an idea for something I wanted to purchase for the business, well, I can put that then to my team members, or I can put that then to the mentor. The accountability there was and still is to this day absolutely essential to ensure that I or my team members are not wasting money within the business. I want to give to you a little quotable, something that you can write down. The one thing that kept us going throughout this entire process was this: if an expense has no measurable impact, then it has to go. Of course, when you grow and become profitable, yes, perhaps you can waste a little bit of money here or there to try things out. That's fine, but the position we were in, we were not making profit and our debt was getting bigger. So we had to be brutal. We had to say, if there is no measurable impact with this particular purchase or this particular cost, then we are gonna have to cut it. So this has been a fairly difficult video to record because I'm having to open myself up here and say, hey, you know, a few years ago, I wasn't a perfect agency owner that got everything right. In fact, I got a lot of things seriously wrong. It's actually why I started Trailblazer FM. It's why I became a Cloudways Maverick, because I want to share with people the lessons I've learned along the way from the mistakes that I've made to help other people either avoid the mistakes entirely or at least get out of a situation if they find themselves in a similar situation. Regardless of if you're in a similar situation or if you are rocking and rolling and thankfully avoiding all of those things, let us know in the comments. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that statement? If it has no measurable impact in the business, it has to go. What even is a measurable impact? Let us know in the comments. What ways do you have of saving money as an agency? What ways do you stay profitable? If you've had debt or are in debt, what ways are you applying to your business in order to pay some of that back? It would be great to see you in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button. Please subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, and if we don't see you in the comments, how's about we see you in the next video?